She had every reason to give up. Her husband had taken their children and disappeared. She was stranded overseas with no money, no legal standing, and no clear path forward. He was betting she would crumble, that she would feel so trapped, so powerless, that she would simply surrender. But he was wrong. This is a story of a mother who refused to disappear and the courage it took to fight back when everything seemed lost. My wife and I had gotten to know this family through work we were doing overseas. And we'd spent time with them, shared meals, watched their two young children grow. From the outside, they look like any other family navigating life abroad, but marriages have layers that outsiders don't see. She had made a difficult decision. She told her husband she wanted a divorce. They discussed it, and the agreement was that she would take a short trip a week away, and when she returned, they would work through the details together. How to separate, how to co-parent, how to move forward. She left believing they had an understanding, but that wasn't the case. When she came back, the house was empty. No husband, no children, no explanation. While she was gone, he had packed up their kids and flown back to the United States. He left her behind, stranded in a foreign country with nothing. And then the paperwork arrived. He sent her a legal document, a consent judgment, and his instructions were simple. Sign it. What that document would have done, if she had signed it, was surrender her parental rights to her children. Her future with them would be gone with a simple signature. Now think about her situation for a moment. She had been a stay-at-home mom, no independent income, completely financially dependent on him. She was alone, overseas with no money to hire an attorney, no family nearby, and a husband who is now thousands of miles away with her children, pressuring her to give them up legally. He had calculated this perfectly. He believed she had no options, no resources, and no way to fight back. And from the outside, it looked like he was right. But there was a turning point. Here's where the story could have ended. She could have believed him. She could have looked at her situation, no money, no support, no clear path, and decided it was hopeless. She could have signed that paper and let him win. But she didn't. And this is the part of the story that matters the most. She picked up the phone. That sounds simple. It's not. When you're in that kind of darkness, when you feel utterly alone and completely powerless, reaching out takes more courage than people realize. It means admitting you need help. It means being vulnerable. It means risking rejection on top of everything else you're already carrying. She called us, and I could hear it in her voice, the shake, the quiver, the sound of someone barely holding on. But she made the call. That was her first act of courage. We told her two things. Don't sign anything. Do not surrender your rights to your children. And get to us as soon as you can. She could have heard that advice and frozen. She could have said it was too hard, too expensive, too uncertain. Instead, she got on a plane. That was her second act of courage. She arrived at our door with almost nothing. No legal representation, no income, no guarantee that any of this would work. But she showed up and she was ready to fight. The first challenge was finding an attorney. Someone licensed in the state where her husband had taken the children. Someone who could take on this case and go toe-to-toe with a man who had resources and a head start. We helped her search, made calls, eventually found someone willing to take her case. But here's what I want you to understand. We could open doors, but she had to walk through them. She sat in those meetings. She told her story over and over to lawyers, to officials, to anyone who needed to hear it. She organized the facts. She gathered the evidence. She answered difficult questions about her marriage, her choices, her situation. Every step of that process required her to be vulnerable, to relive the worst moments, to keep going when it would have been easier to stop. And she never stopped. The woman who had been shaking on that phone call, terrified and alone, became someone else in those weeks and months. She found a steel in herself that maybe she didn't know she had. She wasn't waiting for someone to rescue her. She was fighting for her children with everything she had. The legal battle took time. These things always do. But she won. She was awarded joint custody of her children. She received financial support that allowed her to relocate, establish herself, and start building a life on her own terms. Think about that journey for a moment. She went from being stranded overseas with nothing, no money, no support, no legal standing, to standing in negotiations and reclaiming her children. She didn't just survive, she rebuilt. She found work, built a career. Years later, she remarried and had 2 more children. And when her ex-husband passed away unexpectedly, she became the sole parent to the kids he had once tried to take from her. The woman he thought he could erase from their lives, she became everything to them. 15 years passed. And then, a little while ago, our phone rang. It was her. She wasn't calling because she needed anything. She was calling to say thank you. She told us she had never forgotten that moment, the lowest point of her life, and the choice she made to reach out instead of giving up. She said she still thinks about what could have happened if she had signed that paper, if she had believed she was as powerless as he wanted her to feel. But she didn't. She fought, and now, 15 years later, she has a life she built with her own hands. That call reminded me of something I already knew, but I needed to hear again. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's picking up the phone when you're terrified. It's getting on a plane when you don't know what comes next. It's showing up and fighting when the odds look impossible. She had that courage, and it changed everything. So what's the lesson? What do we take from this? 2 things, I think. First, if you're ever in a moment where everything looks hopeless, where it feels like you have no options, where giving up seems like the only logical choice, reach out anyway. Make the call, ask for help. You never know who might be on the other end ready to stand with you. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's the first step toward fighting back. And second, when someone reaches out to you in the darkest moment, don't look away. Step in. You don't have to have all the answers. Sometimes just saying, come here, we'll figure it out, is enough to give someone the foothold they need to save themselves. She saved her own life. She saved her relationship with her children, all because she had the courage to reach out and the strength to act. If she can do it, so can you.